Welcome to the Well-Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. I'm your host, George Masri. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Well-Off Podcast. I interviewed Paul Punnoose, who is an investor that has touched a lot of different real estate strategies. Touched isn't the right word, but that's what the word that came to mind. Anyway, he's done duplex conversions, student rentals. He owns a 7-unit, 13-unit, and 20-unit building. He's done flipping. He has a wholesaling company, and he also does a bit of coaching through Durham REI. So obviously, he's very well experienced. He talked about starting out in 2011 and how joining a real estate investment club really helped him accelerate. And his intention was to own just one rental property at first and ended up owning a bunch of real estate. So I think you guys are going to benefit from this podcast because, again, we touched on an important topic, which is dealing with sellers now. A lot of people have expectations of selling their homes for, January or February 2022 prices, whereas obviously the market has corrected quite a bit now in July and August. So what do you do when in that situation? How do you make sure that you don't take on homes that are overpriced or whatnot? So lots of good stuff in here. I hope you'll enjoy. And if you do, as always, I will ask you to share this with a friend or family member, someone who's going to benefit from the information. And if you guys can leave us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast platform, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to subscribe on YouTube, that's also great. We are trying to grow the channel. We've added some camera equipment. Hopefully you're enjoying the videos now. It's definitely a higher quality production than it was last year. So there you go. Enjoy the episode. And if you want to connect with me, final thought here, you can just go to welloff.ca/podcast. There's a bunch of stuff that you guys can download, and you can always reach out to me there. All right. I'm here with Paul Punnoose. Thank you for coming in today. I love these in-person podcasts. I think you just get a really good quality conversation when we do that.
For sure.
So I like to start off by asking you about your childhood. Tell me about where you grew up. 1 or 2 things you remember.
I was brought up in Ajax and Whitby. And let's see. My family traveled a lot. We were just talking about that before the show. But traveling a lot with my family was a lot of fun. Got to do a lot of trips in the summer, visit different family members all over. And kind of instilled a passion for travel.
Mm-hmm. Cool. We were talking about how when we were growing up, we'd travel, but stay for like 2-3 months. I'd go to Lebanon with my parents, and then we would stay a long time. And you were saying it's kind of the same thing for you, right?
Yeah. We'd go to India, and like family to family's house, and constantly eating, but really good food.
I remember when I was a kid at one point, I think I was maybe 12 years old or something like that, and I had this bright idea that I was going to work when we were on our summer vacation.
Okay.
And then they were telling me what the wages were over there. I was like, oh man, definitely not working. Not now. I'll work when I get back, if anything.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but anyway.
That's cool.
So tell me a bit about your journey. How did you get involved in real estate investing, and what's your strategy these days?
Yeah. So, how I got started. I got started in the Durham REI. I started attending that in 2011. Attended a full years of meetings, not understanding very much, trying to catch up, write down things that I didn't understand, which was most of the things, and then read up on it and try and educate myself. And then, after about a year, I ended up buying my first rental property, moved into it, renovated it with my buddies, and then rented it out and moved back into my parents' basement. And and then my wife, all I really wanted was one rental property. My wife, she was my girlfriend at that time, she bought a few pre-construction condos, and we somehow were able to close on them. And they were like, I think they were cash flow neutral, or maybe like $100 or negative $100. I don't really remember. And we took a 4/5. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a deferred salary plan. So I used to be a teacher. And what they would do is they would take 20% of my income every year and save it. So for 4 years, they saved it. And on the 5th year, they released it to me, and I got to not be working. So we backpacked like for 14 months and, got to experience some really cool things, help some charities, do some like life-changing things.
Yeah.
And, we came back, the house that I had purchased had gone up by like $100,000. So, we realized, oh my God, we basically made money while we got to travel the world. And that's kind of when we understood the power of real estate. So what we did is we hired Quentin D'Souza to be my coach. And then after that, we liquidated our condos and started understanding more positive cash flow assets, like how they worked. So we started getting into duplex conversions. We did 3 or 4 of them, and then started joint venturing. Kind of got into student rental, a 4-unit property. We were able to flip a few properties, which gave us some more income or disposable cash, and then we invested that with other partners and just kind of continue building the portfolio. So I'm still looking for positive cash flowing assets right now, but my main focus right now is to I do a lot of marketing. So I have a wholesaling business, and we're just typically looking for properties that need some work, right? Or sellers that need some help, and really try to help them and help our investors as well. And what else?
What's the name of your wholesaling company?
It's called Profitable Property.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm on your list.
No? Yeah, you got to get on it, man.
Yeah. Okay.
We put out, I think, 3 deals last week.
Cool. It seems like there have been a lot more deals lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a point in time when the market was on fire where you weren't seeing too many deals, but lately I've been getting tons of emails from wholesalers. Are you finding that?
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of price reductions too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the right now, I mean, the climates for sellers that are, need to get rid of their property, it's a bad state, right? Because the market's dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
They also have expectations from February. So they're not getting the numbers that they need. They need to quickly sell because they've probably already purchased something else.
Yeah.
Right. So we're seeing a lot more deals.
Are you saying that these are people that were listed on the MLS and they're not getting what they wanted, so they're coming to you guys and saying, hey?
Some, right? Like we get a lot of those kind of phone calls.
Right.
Some of them are, it depends, right? Some are houses that wouldn't probably sell on the MLS. They wouldn't show nicely at all. But we're getting a larger uptick in phone calls from people that have their property on the market that have just been sitting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So we're seeing that a lot.
Cool. So what are you doing then these days? Okay, I also wanted to just go back to one thing you said.
Yeah.
You mentioned Durham REI, which, in case anyone's wondering, it's an investment club, a real estate investment club in the Durham region, which is run by Quentin D'Souza. You mentioned you were part of his coaching program. So was I. And it was life-changing for both of us.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go back to this wholesaling thing. What are you doing these days that might be different from before to find deals? Are you doing like that sort of typical thing where you do a lot of flyers, online leads?
Yeah, we do a variety of, marketing is the same, right? Like a lot of offline and offline and online marketing, right? We're not doing too much different. We're just kind of analyzing what kind of marketing is working for us and pumping more money into that. We are seeing that buyers are a little bit more, like investors are a little bit more cautious because of the market, right? And it's understandable, right? But right now we're just trying to find deals that make sense to us, right? And the deals that make sense to us, we also have to think about, we're in a descending market, so we try to knock off, 10-15% off the ARV, like the after repair value. Or, we were only using comps within the last 30 days, right? Because if you're using comparable properties to analyze, you need very, very recent comparables to justify price points.
Yeah. Are you finding, so just to put things in context, we're recording right now, it's mid-July 2022. Are you finding that you're assigning less contracts now, or same amount, more than let's say 6 months ago?
Yeah, we're a little bit more cautious about the contracts that we sign for, right? So if we know that they're not deeply discounted, we don't really want to waste a seller's time. I don't know how other wholesale companies operate, but we're very transparent about our process with our sellers. So we talk about how, our investors need to approve of the deal, right, or to kind of fund the deal. And if we know that the discount's not deep enough, we already know that, no investors are going to commit. Mm-hmm. I think, last year, the year before, we just needed a slight discount. Mm-hmm. And the deal would have been assigned to an investor, no problem, right? Now it's the exact opposite. I feel like last year, similar to what you had mentioned, it was harder to find deals, easy to assign them. Mm-hmm. Now it's just the opposite. Easy to find deals, harder to assign, right?
Yeah. Because the quality of the deal is what basically allows you to assign it or not assign it. So again, just to kind of go back to that question, would you say the percentage, well, maybe you're not assigning more or less, you're just taking on less now. So we're being more selective.
Yeah, we're more selective about the deals. There has to be some sort of value add proposition, right? They're deals that there's a bunch of deals that we would have taken on if it was last year that we've just basically told sellers, like, our investors won't go for this. We don't want to waste your time. Right. We know you're in a difficult situation, and I think time is probably the most important thing right now for you.
It's so interesting because it seems like a lot of people are just stuck with this thought that, hey, my house was worth so much more before, I'm not going to give it away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But people aren't understanding that your home went up like 30-40% in a matter of couple months, like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Right. And it's come down maybe 25% now, but you're not giving it away. It's just what was happening wasn't normal.
Yeah.
Right. For some reason, that seems to be a very tough concept for people to understand now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they attach the idea of their property, right? They attach that net worth value to their home and what they now think it's worth, when, all the market is just when two people make an agreement on a price point, right? And like people are not making those agreements on those price points right now. So it's interesting to, sometimes you have to educate them, right? Like, sometimes I have to say, like, listen, you're way better off putting this on the market for the price point that you're looking for. Yeah. Because I can't get that for you in the private. Sure. Like the private market, right? Like the off market situation. So
yeah, for sure. Are you operating in multiple markets, or are you focusing on a specific area?
Yeah, so we focus on just acquiring deals, period. So we focus literally from Niagara all the way up to Belleville. Mm-hmm. So it's huge. We advertise in a bunch of different areas. We are just looking for properties that need some TLC. Mm-hmm. And so we're okay to focus on anywhere in the GTA.
Now, this is the thing that I always wonder. How is it that you're able to evaluate properties in so many different markets without really having access to the MLS, unless I'm missing something?
Yeah, I mean, I find sometimes there's a lot of that sold data is already out there, right? We use House Sigma quite often, and that's really helpful to us as just like a starter. But then we also work with realtors, right? So if we need comparable properties or some sort of comparable analysis, we'll reach out to them and say, hey, can you help us with this, right?
And do they just do it because you have a good relationship with them, or do they get something out of it just out of curiosity?
Yeah, no. They know that we're using them to sell our flip properties. So we're selling like 1 or 2 deals at least per year.
Yep.
Second thing is, if a deal doesn't really make sense to, our investors, we think that it would probably be better on the market, like I told you, we'll refer them to agents that help us out. Right. So we also feed them leads.
Got it. All right. I wanted to touch on the coaching, Durham REI coaching. So you mentioned that you've taken over that program. Tell me about how that happened. How did you get into that position?
Yeah. So I guess I'm a teacher. Like I'm an Ontario qualified teacher, and I do have a passion for education. You know, I've really enjoyed it. I've been doing it for 15 years. And I was talking with Quentin D'Souza, and he basically just asked me, "Hey man, would you like to take over the coaching program? You've been pretty successful and you're an educator, right?" We thought it was a good fit. I was a little bit worried or nervous about it because I was like, I don't know, I'm not too sure. I was like, you know what, I'll try it out. You know, he's helped me tremendously over the the course of the time that I've known him. So I said, I'll try it and see how it is. And yeah, I really love it. So I took over, man, I think it's been about 9 months, 8 or 9 months. And yeah, I really enjoy it, right? It's that piece that it's a little bit more rewarding, right? To see other people kind of achieve results and learn. And I know how successful that coaching program was for me. So for me to deliver it, you know, it's something I believed in that changed my life. And you had mentioned it changed yours as well, right? So I think just delivering the material, kind of going over that, and also, you know, thinking about, because I had been doing it for about 4 years, I basically just added everything that I thought could improve.
So you were in coaching for 4 years?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So he's been my mentor for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the problem is he just kept growing. So I also wanted to keep growing and see how I could, you know, stay in communication and just continue to improve my portfolio.
Yeah. So before we started recording, you mentioned that you have a 7-unit, 13-unit, and you just recently closed on a 20-unit building. So was Quentin a big part in helping you get into that? And can you kind of tell us how you ended up getting into those larger buildings?
Yeah. So two of those buildings are with him as a joint venture partner, right? So we were able to reinvest some of the capital we had made from the wholesaling and flipping business into those deals, right? Taking active income and putting into the passive. And then the 20-unit building, he helped me kind of analyze the deal a little bit. Him and a few of the other people that I've been getting mentored by, they helped me analyze it. And, you know, we took a look at the numbers. It was a great deal. So next step was to execute and close on the property.
Yeah. Where was that property?
It's in Oshawa.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. We got a vendor take-back mortgage.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a really crazy deal. We just, it's funny because real estate, like you hear about it, that it's all about relationships. And this entire transaction was all about the relationship that I had with the seller. So I have one partner on it, and you know, we would get along with the seller, get together, have dinner. You know, not really talking too much about the actual building, but like, you know, we did get together once, and I was like, hey, if you're ever thinking of selling that, let us know. We'd love to purchase it. And at the time, I didn't really know too much about what a multifamily property, like how to actually buy it. So having Quentin in my corner, having all of those other investors in my corner to help me analyze it and make sense of the deal really, really helped. We got a 75% loan to value vendor take back mortgage, interest only, and we got a crazy rate. It was like 2.22%.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it just made sense to do the deal.
For sure. Yeah. I would think that for you to get a rate like that at that loan to value, it has to be the relationship, because you wouldn't just give a stranger something like that.
Yeah.
So what's the plan? Like, what was the purchase price, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah.
This
so
building?
It was $4.5 million.
Okay. And what's the plan with this? Like, is there is there a lot room to turn over these units?
Yeah, so the units are in kind of original condition,
Mm-hmm.
you know, parquet flooring, laminate countertops, white appliances, but they're severely under rented, and the current landlord couldn't really go in there and up the rent
Mm-hmm.
or do anything with the tenants because he was self-managing, and he kind of befriended all the tenants.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, I see that happen all the time.
Yeah. And I've made that mistake too in the past, right? It's like treating it as a hobby versus treating it as a business, right? So yeah, we intend to improve the building, and when we improve the building, we'll probably be able to command more rent. For multifamilies, they're kind of seen as a business, right? So if your rent roll is your income, if you're able to improve your rent roll, the building's valuation will be higher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the plan is to eventually refinance our capital out and you know, own it and just continue to rent it out, right?
Yeah. So aside from increasing the rent, was there anything you were able to do to reduce expenses or to offload some of the expenses?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different things. So we're going to be looking into this a little bit more now, but they have a storage locker room that we'll probably be converting into another unit. So either a bachelor or a one bedroom, whatever we can get in there. And so that's one thing. There's a couple other things about parking. There's a few things, you know, there's a bunch of tenants that don't pay on time, and they've kind of been allowed this from the previous landlord. So I think tightening up the process or the systems in place at the building will allow for that tenant turnover. And then I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Is it in a good pocket of Oshawa, or I don't really know too much about Oshawa.
Yeah, I mean, Oshawa's changed a lot, right? Like over the years, it's probably had a pretty bad stigma. I grew up going to school in South Oshawa, so I know
The dirty schwa is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's right. So I know exactly what that place was like. It's changed a lot, right? This is in one of the nicer areas. It's north of the 401. And it commands pretty good rent, right? I think we just signed a lease for $1,700 for a 2-bedroom, and we didn't renovate.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
great.
Parquet flooring, like exactly how I kind of just described it, right?
Yeah.
Plus hydro, plus parking. So
yeah. One thing that I guess in certain areas, like you're saying this is a good area, which is understandable, but I own a property where I've been really thinking about, because I've had some break-ins, like people are breaking into the backyard looking for stuff to steal or whatever. So I was just really thinking about how to secure this place, and I was debating maybe putting in some bigger lights and camera equipment and stuff.
yeah.
So I don't know. I guess, have you ever looked into anything like that for any of your properties?
No, you know what? We haven't had to, luckily. Like, all of our properties are in pretty decent areas. That being said, theft can happen in decent areas too. You know, some of the coaching clients that I do work with, they've installed cameras in their buildings just to kind of help with that. So, man, that's a good start.
I had like the front gate, somebody broke the gate at the side of the house to get into the backyard, I would assume, because it was down on the floor, so I guess somebody was trying to break in. But I had to like reinforce that gate, put a lock on there, do all sorts of stuff. It's the first time I've ever had to deal with anything like that, but I mean, it's just part of the process, I guess, if you're in a kind of a sketchy area. This is in downtown Hamilton, so there's a little bit of adjusting to do, but at the end of the day, it's still a solid property. It's a legal triplex in this case, so you gotta take what you can.
For sure, right? And I think when those crappy things happen to you, it depends on your mindset, right? Like the average person would probably just get really frustrated and like upset that like, oh crap, I got to pay for this fence, gate, whatever it is, right? But like, you know, if you take the whole approach of, hey, this is just part of the business.
Yeah.
right, then that whole kind of mind shift will allow you to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I'm sure that's a big part of your coaching, right? When you do talk to certain people, they might be afraid of certain things, or maybe a challenge will prevent them from moving forward. And your job as a coach is to walk them through that. Because I know Quentin did that for me. I would come to him with these problems that I was facing, and he'd be like, "Yeah, so figure it out." Like, I've dealt with this 1,000 times. It's just part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Right. Sometimes it's just calling people out, because sometimes you just need to get a good kick in the pants, essentially, right? To be like, okay, you know what, this is part of the business, and I'm going to call 3 people to try and help me figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what you would suggest in those situations. Call another investor, call a friend, call somebody you trust that's going to help you. Don't call a family member, because they're going to tell you you're crazy and that you should never invest again.
Yeah. I mean, like one big rule is I only listen to advice from people that have been through that exact situation. Right. So, like, I'm not going to talk to my parents about landlord questions. Because they haven't done it.
Right.
I'm only going to talk to landlords. Everyone else is just going to share their opinion.
Right.
Right. And I don't have time for that right now.
Yeah. So you've done a bunch of stuff. You've done, like you said, wholesaling. You're into apartment buildings, but you also do a bit of flipping. So can you tell us a bit about your flipping business?
Yeah. So, the big backing on the flipping is actually my wife. She has a really good eye for design, and she does love designing projects. So she does a great job at them. So and what I focus on is acquiring deals, right? So the cool thing about my position is I get quite a few deals, and then I have a decision to make. Do I wholesale it, or do I keep it and flip it for myself, right? So I like doing very, very easy flips. My wife likes to see huge transformations. So it just depends on what's going on, right? If we have time and we're going to be home for, a few months, then maybe we'll take on a project. We just finished one and sold it about a month ago. And it did really well. I was a little bit nervous because the market was starting to drop, right?
Yeah.
But we still came out exact ARV that I thought we would get for it when I purchased it. It was out in Hastings. So Hastings is about half an hour east of Peterborough. A little bit of a rural property, so I haven't really done that before. But it was a 3-bedroom bungalow. We got the whole thing completely gutted on the inside. Outside was completely redone as well. And we did really well. We bought it for about $350. We put in about $150 in, maybe a little bit more, and then we sold for $650.
Nice.
So we did pretty decent on it.
Yep.
It was I think it was 3 months total.
Yep.
So we were really
spread.
Yeah, we were really happy with it, right?
So moving forward now, you're still looking for flips, I'm assuming. What's changed now? How are you adjusting your strategy? Again, this is July 2022. The market's changed. There's been a bit of a dip in the last couple of weeks, a couple months actually. What are you doing differently? Are you still looking to flip moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking to flip. The discount has to be deeper, right? Just like my investors see it. The deals have to make sense. And then the backup, the exit strategies have to be there, right? So would I be okay holding it? Would I be okay to change the use of the property, right? Those are all things that I have to have different options. If there's just one option, then I probably won't do it.
Right.
Right. So that's maybe a little bit something that's changed. Is I always had exit strategies, but I think I might think a little bit more about how those will pan out.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's so important to have, like you said, multiple exit strategies, and maybe Maybe we can give a few examples to people listening that might not know what could be some of the exit strategies. So why don't you just go ahead and tell us a few that you'd come across?
Yeah, I mean, so it just depends, right? That depends on the property itself and where it is. But like, if I had a flip property that wasn't selling, right, I might rent it out for a year and then try selling later on, or selling in a couple of years, right? You could also bring on a joint venture partner, right? You could Airbnb it. So it just kind of depends. You could try and look for a rent to own situation where, you might be able to find somebody.
Yep.
I think when people think about this is like, hey, the more different strategies or tools you have in your toolbox, like the more open you are to being success in real estate, right?
For sure. Other exit strategies could be adding another unit, or adding a garden suite.
Exactly.
Just adding cash flow so that you can hold the property. And then I guess an important part would be in that scenario, if you were intending on flipping, but you couldn't get what you were looking for, then are you able to finance it? Because that private money might be expensive if you're going down that path.
For sure, right? Like you might refinance it into your own. I mean, if you can't, you might refi it to a mortgage qualifier, right? And give up maybe a bit of the equity as for somebody's taking up somebody's mortgage purchasing power.
Right.
But yeah, like there's so many ways to, if you're stuck, to kind of like help persevere through this market, right?
Yeah. What have been some successful strategies for you to develop relationships with potential partners? Are you actively looking for partners? Are you hosting events for your partners? Are you taking them out to lunch? Are you mostly talking to friends and family, or are you looking for other people?
Yeah, I think about partners as like, hey, like this is someone you're going to be married to for a little bit, right? And so for me, it's important that I get to know the investors that I work with, just because, they might be financially sound and be able to purchase everything, but they might not be the right fit for me. So, we've been able to do some with friends and family. And, I'm continuously looking for other joint venture partners. I try and do it a little bit more organically by just talking about what I've been doing and what I'm in the process of doing. And generally I find, some people will, I think investors that are interested in partnering will reach out, right? So I've had a few reach out. If you sign up for our buyers list, you'll get a follow-up email that says, hey, sometimes we do joint venture partnerships, and, people can respond, and then we'll set up a call and kind of see if we're the right fit. And then if a deal pops up that fits that criteria, we can kind of go forward with them.
Yeah. Now you mentioned meeting people organically. So are you making an effort to meet more people in your sphere, or is that something like if you go somewhere, you go to a party, you go to a barbecue or something, you meet somebody, and that's kind of how it goes? I know some people will actually try to organize events or do different things to add people to their joint venture list.
Yeah, so I haven't been creating events or anything like that. It's more so just trying to get to know some of the buyers that are looking to buy our properties. I do go to, like, I'll attend other people's events, right? Durham REI. Jared Henderson has a group chat on WhatsApp with a bunch of Peterborough investors. I think we're doing a golf tournament next week.
Cool.
I don't play golf, but I'm just going to network, right?
Yeah.
Going to meet other investors. So I do actively try to attend other people's meetings or, get out and meet with different people. I'm also part of a mastermind that will meet once a month. And, just learn from them, because those are people that have been doing it and have, hundreds of properties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Very cool. Yeah, so you've done a lot. You've done duplex conversions, student rentals. We didn't touch on everything, but multi-units, flipping, wholesaling, coaching. How do you have time to do all this stuff? What are some tools that have allowed you to grow your business and still have free time and, time to do stuff that you love to do?
Yeah, so there's two things, right? And I'm sure you kind of learned a little bit about it too during the coaching program, but like meticulously blocking out your time and planning your week out really helps, right? The second thing is it's more about like the who, not the how, right? So, I have certain people that are working with me that they're focused on certain things that frees up some of my time so I can kind of focus on how to expand and, other bigger concepts in my business, right? So I think finding people that will do a better job than you will at certain aspects of your business frees up some of that time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Do you work with people as well? Like on your team for the real estate?
We have a real estate sales team. I work with my wife and my mother-in-law.
Gotcha.
And we have some VAs that we work with. We're actually, just today, we interviewed a VA company that will hopefully be taking on a lot of stuff for us.
Okay.
So that's something that I learned from Quentin too. I learned to use Upwork, which is a website where you can hire VAs. That's been really helpful to do tons of tasks.
Yeah.
But yeah, delegating has been really important, especially for us now because we have a baby. It's important to delegate because I don't want to miss out on that time with our son.
Totally, man.
So,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work with another company called Good Work, kind of like Upwork, but they focus on they hire women in Pakistan.
Okay.
And they are highly educated women that once they get married, they're not supposed to be going out to work, but they want to work. Yeah. So them becoming virtual assistants and working from home satisfies both. Cool. Right? Because they're not going out anywhere, but also gives them some financial independence as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's always interesting because you hear about this stuff that's happening in other countries. You don't realize that that's the case. But
yeah.
I know there was something similar that was happening in Lebanon, which is my background.
Yep.
Lebanese. So yeah, the women there, they were some women in some refugee camps, and they weren't able to work, but they had these. This one girl I knew, she discovered that they had an ability to knit. So she was bringing fabric from Canada to their camps. They were knitting things, and she was selling them here and bringing proceeds back.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's cool to see these kinds of stories to help women who are kind of tossed aside and say they don't have any ability to work and to earn money. So
totally,
it's cool that if you can benefit from it and help others at the same time.
Yeah, that's that whole having a social enterprise, right? Like, I think that is the next goal. I think later down the line, that's something I'd love to kind of get my hands in.
Yeah, very cool. All right, do you think there's any final topics we should discuss? Any final thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I think, it sounds like you've been providing a lot of value to your listeners, right? By getting a bunch of different people on. I think part of that value might be to get on our buyers list.
Oh yeah.
At profitableproperty.ca.
Yeah.
You can sign up on there and, you can get access to our deals. We just pushed out a bachelor unit downtown Toronto for $340,000.
Wow.
So it's and it
Amazing.
It doesn't really need any renovations. You could rent it out for $1,800 as is right now. So pretty cool. Good opportunities, but love to connect with other investors. And so, yeah, that's how people can reach me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Profitable Property. Do you have an email or something that people can reach out to you at?
Yeah, you can reach me at profitableproperty10@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
I know you got still quite a bit of work to do today, but
for sure, man.
The time.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Your support is truly appreciated. And if you can share this with a friend or family member that might benefit from the information, remember our goal is to motivate and inspire others to take action and to build wealth and to become well off. Enjoy the rest of your day.